Alright, just something I wanted to record for a bit. I wanted to kind of go over Joo Shiyoon's lore, and with the recent Awakening trailer or teaser that he came out with, just kind of inspired to do this. There will be minor chapter 5 spoilers if you haven't done this already, but yeah, with Joo Shiyoon, he has some pretty interesting counter cases for the most part, and it's interesting on how his lore takes him and how it connects to the story in a sense and how it connects to his character. Well, the first thing is if we look at Shiyun's level 100 counter case and or just in general just his counter cases, right? Uh let's assume that Sound Alpha is the administrator and Sound Beta is the vice president Lee Soo-yoon, right? And although the case file doesn't really reveal any information regarding them, most likely it is them, simply because of how they act, how they talk, and how they refer to other people of interest. And it's pretty interesting to note that Lee Soo-yoon reveals herself to be genuinely pretty hostile to Shiyun, to the point where the administrator had to step in and basically tell her to not kill Shiyun. Um, but while LSY is a hot-blooded and a jaded person, right? We've yet to see her genuinely wanting someone who hasn't done anything wrong dead. And the reason for her hostility hasn't been given yet, but there is a theory on why that there might be a pretty interesting reason why she kind of wants Shiyun dead. And during the brief conversation regarding Shiyun, the topic of atavism comes up, and it's interesting how atavism is brought up in this Counter-Strike universe. And what it basically is basically the administrator kind of describes it as a partial reincarnation of kind of sorts, right? Obviously, the 100% accurate definition of atavism is when an ancestral genetic trait that was long lost through generations suddenly resurfaces. So in this context, we can take that Shiyun's particular gift of dragon blood belongs to an ancestor of his a long time ago, right? And that power kind of went dormant for some times, but it suddenly decides to resurface with Shiyun. This could potentially be because of his parents and why Hilda killed his parents. Now, if we go to the next part of Shiyun's counter case, let's talk about the succession of karma. Karma is obviously one of the most famous concepts of Eastern religions, right? It's very prominent in several religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and basically, in the most basic definition, karma is basically the law of causality, in where good deeds and intentions will eventually bring good happenings in your life, while bad deeds and ill intentions will bring ill fortune upon you. It's also very heavily associated with reincarnation and rebirth, and a popular belief is that one who accrues good karma throughout their life will be born into a higher place in the world, until they eventually achieve nirvana and can ascend to heaven. Conversely, one who collects bad karma throughout their life will be demoted into their next life, to the point where their life might not be of a human anymore and thus denied enlightenment. Now, it seems like Shiyun has not only inherited his ancestors' power, but also their karma. And going by the administrator's words, and not even mysteriously ominous way of referring to Shiyun's family line in Chapter 5, I don't think it's wild to believe that Shiyun inheriting that karma is not a good thing. And in fact, when Nabi is referred to the bloodline, it makes it so that Shiyun's family is straight up cursed. The administrator mentions a figure referred to as the Dragon of Anguish who has fallen into purgatory. And obviously, purgatory in a lot of contexts often means hell. However, at sometimes it could refer to a place of cleansing where sinners had their sins cleansed from them and they might be able to ascend to heaven one day. In such a game, or in such a case, is it possible this Dragon of Anguish was an ancestor of Shiyun's who committed a grave sin and had their bloodline cursed as a result? In the same sentence where the administrator mentions the Dragon of Anguish, the administrator mentions Paramita as well. Paramita is it apparently refers to like the perfections of Buddhism and are the noble ideals that one wishes to be enlightened. While Shiyoon may have a goal, per se, to reach this paramita, this perfection, in a sense, to be enlightened, it's very interesting because there's a lot of implied context that Shiyoon is walking towards this path. Going a bit along the lines of that, when combined with the rest of the conversation, implies that an ancestor of Joo Shiyoon's did a major fuck up and is now too forced to achieve a certain goal or ideal throughout their periodic reincarnations, with Shiyoon being the latest reincarnation in order to lift the bloodline's curse and free themselves from their continuous cycle of forced reincarnation. Now, given the fact that none of Shiyoon's predecessors have succeeded, it does not seem like an easy task, especially when being in possession of the Dragon Blood's Kilopov factor. It's a Klipov. I forgot how it was pronounced. Seems to carry very heavy risks with it, as seen by the fate of Shiyoon's parents, who went insane when they awakened it and had to be put down by Hilda. Now, if this theory proves correct, Shiyoon's ancestor did pretty much something awful, and the old administration is aware of it. That would explain Lee Soo-yoon's hostility towards Shiyoon. And with a reincarnation, people probably won't have a lot of faith in Shiyoon that he might be able to achieve what his forebears could not, right? And not to mention, given the volatility of the Kilipov factor, which the Dragon Blood is stated to be a variant of, it's likely those failures resulted in less than pleasant consequences for the individuals around the inheritor. So in our eyes, better safe than sorry. Now, we can refer to Shiyoon's bracelet. Shiyoon's bracelet is a very interesting piece of accessory, if we call it that. It strikes a very big resemblance to Buddhist prayer beads. And while it can be just a simple aesthetic choice, since Shiyoung also has them, and she doesn't have Kilopov factor or Dragon Blood, but with the mentions of paramita, reincarnation, and karma, all of which are concepts that are explored in Buddhism, you wonder if they bear any significance at all. With this new trailer, we can see that Shiyoon actually does break these beads on the bracelet. He grasps them firmly, and his awakening class is called Arhat. And this is one who has basically achieved I wouldn't say perfection. Let's see. Arhat is basically a term in Buddhism from Sanskrit or something along the lines of that, where a person has achieved a state of perfection and gained enlightenment. And from the scenes in the video, it seems like he's in a pretty remorseful state about Hilda killing his parents and how he inherits the blood. And in the mainline stream, or mainstream storyline, Joo Shiyoon knew that Hilda is the one. He knows that Hilda is the one that kills his parents, but he chooses to stay by her side. He does not betray her when Nayubin tempts him. He instead wants to try and fuck, I can't English. He wants to try and find out if Hilda killing his parents was a must or a necessary move. And in the sense that maybe when he, at that moment in the video where he decided to break the beads on his bracelet with his left hand, it was that moment that he decided to let go of his passing grievances and achieve the Arhat state of perfection, where he gains enlightenment. So we might see that more in chapter 7. It's very interesting. Aside from that, there is a lot of kind of resemblances in snake type characters where they seem to be very manipulative, but they are very loyal. And this does show a lot with Mina where he is pretty much one of her most reliable friends and pretty much one of the most active members of the cast when trying to protect Mina's well-being. But yeah, in general though, very interesting to see how it has diverged from Norse mythology, from Siegfried with Hilda and Fenrir with Mina. Rather, Shiyoon has chosen to go with the name Arhat, where it seems like he has kind of seems like he's achieved enlightenment, right? And all in all, I'm very, very excited for Shiyoon. He is a very, very good character, very nice lore to him, and I really, really like how he performs in game. And I think, besides the fact that we could see that he can most likely counter bosses, it seems like he can probably counter bosses now and awaken units. So hopefully, as the striker he is, he's a little bit more tanky, that he becomes a very, very cool unit. He hopefully will be part of the meta. Thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't done already, 60% of you guys have not subscribed, 40% of you guys have. Thank you very much. Like, share, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
뭐 어떻게든 해보자. 안 되죠. 이것마저도 피하시면 곤란한데요.